Hey everyone, it's Jennifer Zimmermann from ModernColoring.com. I'm the author of the book that you're looking at right now, Coloring Zen for the Stressed Out Modernist, which is an adult coloring book that focuses on modern art and design from the 1950s and 60s. You might be interested in it, or your husband might be interested in it, or your kids might even be interested in it. So take a look. It's on Amazon right now. Anyway, let's get started today with our tutorial. I am going to be teaching you another version of the pearl. And you may have already seen one of my tutorials or seen the printed tutorial, but this is going to be a video tutorial. And what we're looking at right here is what I call a pink multicolored pearl. And I'm going to show you how to do this today. At some point at a later time, if you're interested in learning more, I can teach you about doing these amethyst cabochons and some other stones, but we're going to focus on this one here today. The picture that you're looking at is what I call my Down Under mandala, which is available on ModernColoring.com. If you go to the shop tab, it's in there, and it's a digital download. And a lot of people have enjoyed using this because there are so many circular shapes for you to plug in your little gems wherever you like them. So let's get started. And if you don't want to get this particular mandala, then I would highly recommend that you get this sheet right here, which is free to you, and it's on ModernColoring.com, and it's under the tips and tricks section, and there's a tutorials section, and this is a tutorial printout. This one is for the pearl, so you can just go ahead and download that and print it onto your favorite paper. And as I've said in the past, I would recommend that you use a paper that doesn't have too much tooth, which is too much texture. Otherwise, your pencil doesn't really lay too flat and you'll see little flecks of white underneath. And then again, if you use a paper that's too perfectly smooth, the paper might not accept your colored pencils. So you might want to experiment a little bit before you go to print this out. But anyway, this is my black pearl right here that I had done prior to this, and we're going to be working on a pink pearl next. So let's get started. First off, I want to show you the colors that I'm going to be using here. I've got Prismacolor pencils, which you are welcome to use any other brand of pencil as long as you can find a similar color to these. So right here I've got canary yellow, I've got hot pink, I've got this lilac color, and then I have a dark purple. And I generally start with my lightest colors when I'm going to start drawing anything, because I can always put more down on top of it, and it's harder to get rid of darker colors. I will sometimes go back into a drawing that I've used dark on and add a little bit more light, but generally speaking, I like to start with my lightest colors first. So let's zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to try to show you how this is done. I think we are at about maximum capacity with zooming right now. Yep. Okay. So I have set this paper up for you so that you can put whatever information you need to in these spots here. So you might go through and list all your colors to begin with. Again, it's my canary, my hot pink, my lilac, and my dark purple. Now on these little lines you can write the names of whatever colors you are using, and you can also write what I call the parts of light, and we're going to talk about what I mean by that. I'm going to sort of list out for you what the parts of light would be, the actual light that is creating the effective dimension on this object. Okay, so, and you can do this sort of as we go along. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to establish a light source. Just like I did in this pearl here, you can tell that the light is hitting right here on the object because this is the lightest area on the object. This is my light side. So we're going to say that the pearl is being lit from the top right here down to about here. And what I like to do is I divide my pearl in about half visually, and then on that top section I like to use like a little yellow to create kind of a ring of where my light is going to be hitting. And then what I do is I sort of fuzz out from there. I leave that white, and then I fill in this area around here with a little bit of yellow, very, very, very light-handed. And I only go up to about the halfway point, and I'm actually going to mark right on the halfway point sort of a curved downward line that I like to call the belt of my pearl. And this is like the midpoint of my pearl right here. And I don't know if you can see that real well. It's very, very faint, and that's exactly what I want. Now, something that I also have handy is I like to use a really good pencil sharpener. I have an electric one as well. And I have a piece of kneaded eraser, which kneaded erasers, some people call them gummy erasers. They come in a square package. They look like that when you buy them. And you can just break off a piece at a time, and you can stretch it to clean it. They're reusable. And you have to make sure you have a clean spot if you're going to use your kneaded eraser. Otherwise, you're going to end up taking a bit of dirt and putting it onto your drawing. You don't want to do that. So I have a nice clean area here. If I ever go too dark, a little trick you can use is to take a piece of kneaded eraser and to push it down in whatever area you've gone too dark on. With a lot of pressure, just push it down. Remember silly putty? When you take imprints of newspapers? It's kind of like that. And then if you push it down hard and then you peel it up gently, you will see sort of a trace amount of that color left on the eraser, and it really did lighten this up quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this yellow kind of throughout this side, except for I don't want it to be anywhere near that white spot. I want to really fade it as I get towards that white area, that hot highlight. And that is called a highlight, that white area. And this yellow section I'm coloring right now would actually be called light, the light of the light side. And again, I'm only coloring up to this belt that I've drawn. I'm going super lightly, very little pressure. Okay, now that I have that yellowed, I'm going to take my hot pink and I'm going to basically use it to kind of create a very, very light belt over the belt I already created. And I'm going to go up to the edges of the top of this pearl, really light, but I want to stay away from that white spot. And I don't want to use too much of this pink. I still want quite a bit of yellow to show. So you can see I'm kind of feathering it towards the highlight, but I'm letting a lot of yellow show. And again, if I've gone too dark or anything like that, just go get my kneaded eraser and I can pull a little bit out. I also have, here it is. I also have this Mono Zero eraser. That's actually an eraser. It's a pen. And I'm going to clean it because you can tell it's dirty. And if I ever want to use this to lighten anything up, I can do that as well. It's just helpful if I've gone too dark anywhere, which I really haven't in this case, but you can use that. All right, so what I'm going to do is the darkest part of this whole image is going to end up being this, what we call core, which is this belt. It's otherwise known as a core shadow. So I'm going to let that remain the darkest part, and I'm going to sort of darken these little edges a little bit past that core on either side, over here, so kind of like a smiley face. All right, and then I'm going to go up to this edge here, not too close to that white, and blend it together. Then the next step is going to be to take a combination of these two colors. This is my hot pink, and my lilac, and I am going to fill in the lower side, which is actually my shadow side, with these two colors, a combination of these two colors. It really doesn't matter which one you do first, but maybe it's easiest to do the lilac first so you can tell exactly where to go with the hot pink once you get started. Now I'm doing a pretty light coat here. Pearls are highly, highly reflective, and they usually don't go super dark. The only pearls that are really truly dark anywhere are black pearls, and they aren't even really truly black 100%. So there's my lilac, and now I'm going to go over it with my pink. And again, over that belted area, just below where I was before. And you can see that this is starting to create some sort of dimension. So there we go. Now I'm going to go over this edge as well. The lightest part of this side of the pearl, which is what you might want to call the reflected light if you're listing it over here, is this right in here. This combination of pink and lilac, the lightest part. We leave this a little lighter than the core and then the bottom edge. Oops. Now, one of the last things I'm going to do, but I am going to go back in a little bit, is I'm going to take my dark purple. This is my dark purple. And I'm going to darken the edges of everything, and I'm going to darken that core as well. Now I don't want to draw a line across here, and I do use sort of directional strokes. You can see I'm going with the curve of the line over here. Kind of like that. So there we go. I'm just getting these edges darkened, and I'm going to use my pink again to go over this section over here. I don't want to go too dark with that purple. And I'm going to blend this pink back into the core over here. Kind of like that. And it looks pretty good. So what you can do if you've gone too dark is, the cool thing about a kneaded eraser is you can always form whatever sort of shape you need to get into a small spot. So first I'm going to clean this, and then I'm going to form kind of a little bit of a point. You can see how I just push that together like that. And if I need to lighten up in like my reflected light area a little bit, I can kind of just sort of dot it and drag the eraser just a little. What you don't want to do, and I will repeat this, what you do not want to do is rub back and forth like you would with a pencil eraser when you're writing, you know, a story. This is way different, and you will end up smearing your pencil, and because it's wax, there's always going to be a trace amount surrounding, so you don't want to do that. If you feel the need, you can go back in with your darkest color and really darken up the core if you want it to have more contrast. Again, this is a pearl, and most pearls really don't have any part that is darker than about a 50% gray, which is a middle gray, right in the middle of the road. So I would stick with something like this. And if you need to, if you are so inclined, and you want a really smooth image, you can use a Prismacolor or any other kind of excuse me, colorless blender. My tip isn't clean right now, so I'm going to clean this off on the side here by just drawing. And now it is. Okay, and what you do basically is you just go in and you use that to blend the parts together, and it'll eliminate some of the graininess, but it does give it a slightly different look overall. And you have to like the way that that looks. So you might want to test that out a little bit on the side if that's what you're going to do. And it will actually slightly darken your pencil as well, so beware. Some people like to use white if they don't want to darken their pencils too much. Okay, so the last step for me is, because I got a little bit off on the sides here, I'm going to use my little eraser and I'm going to do my best to get some of that off. Now, because this is so small, I'm going back and forth. But normally, if you have a large eraser, I definitely would not recommend that. So I've gotten some of these little smudges and smears off that I've had. Anyway, so that's it. That is your pink pearl multicolor gem. And I hope that this has been an easy and informative tutorial for you. If you liked it and you felt this was useful, please go and like my artist page. It's Modern Coloring Jennifer Zimmermann. And join us in our coloring group too, Modern Coloring Club. Anyway, hope all is well and see you soon.